in just a minute or two. We're waiting on a few more people to trickle in.
At GoGuardian, we're not only passionate about increasing student learning outcomes, but we also care about the well-being of your students. We believe that when students are struggling with extreme stressors and mental health issues, they can find it difficult to achieve their full potential and their safety may be at risk. In fact, the sheer number of students affected by suicide is alarming. Combine this with the national average of almost 500 students per counselor, and we decided it was time to do our part to help solve this critical problem. My name is Chanel, and today I'd like to talk to you about GoGuardian Beacon. GoGuardian Beacon is a suicide and self-harm prevention solution that leverages a combination of advanced artificial intelligence and human insight. These tools provide schools with rapid alerts about students who are at risk of suicide or self-harm. Once a possible signal is identified, a beacon alert is quickly generated with the right amount of information responders need to make fast and effective decisions. Included with each alert are screenshots of the activity that triggered the alert, as well as the words on the page. To make sure the right people are alerted, schools can set up custom escalation chains to better fit the school's available resources. These escalation chains can include faculty via email or text messages, GoGuardian specialists, and even parents. Beacon can also offer immediate help to students when alerts are triggered with messages that included resources, such as the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. The default message has been approved by the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention and American Association of Suicidology. Unlike other alternatives, which emphasize their focus on monitoring G Suite and Office 365, GoGuardian Beacon operates continuously at the browser level to detect signs wherever the student is, whether they are searching, socializing, or even creating content on their school-issued device. Because the language and terms students use when searching online can vary, GoGuardian does not use static keyword lists to identify warning signs. Our advanced artificial intelligence engine is trained using real-world data. The result is better detection of warning signs from the actual language and inquiries students make. If you need additional assurance or support for your most critical alerts, GoGuardian can provide a group of trained beacon specialists to support your team. When an active planning alert is generated, a GoGuardian specialist will review the alert and determine whether escalation is required, at which point they will hand off the alert to the predetermined responder. We're really excited about the ability to work with schools to help students reach their full potential. Click the link at the end of this video to connect with GoGuardian to help you find the right beacon plan for your school.
Many of our teachers went from having no computers in the classroom to all of a sudden all 30 of my kids have a computer. It can be a lot of anxiety.
GoGuardian for us was a complete package. We had a demo of it and we gave it to our teachers and they fell in love with it within minutes. They said, whatever you do, don't take away GoGuardian.
It's definitely the single most important tool to make your one-to-one run smoothly, as well as protect your students from content you don't want them to see.
With the product GoGuardian, we were actually able to consolidate down to the single filtering system and start using that for all our networks. It makes it a lot easier to manage.
GoGuardian definitely gives you that ability of the one-on-one that I personally feel that like a Meet or a Zoom or any of those things can't get. You can't work with them, you can't talk to them one-on-one, and that's the great benefit of GoGuardian.
Welcome, and thank you all for joining us today for the GoGuardian Org Management webinar. My name is Chantal, and I'm a Customer Success Manager here at GoGuardian. Today, I'm going to show you how to navigate through Org Management. This is where your admin super users can make changes at the organization level. Within Org Management, we will discuss how to edit GoGuardian users, setting up integrations, Guardian information, product-specific settings, your account preferences, and where to find Windows setup. Now, before we begin, please remember that only users deemed as super users within GoGuardian will have access to Org Management and make changes. Generally, the first super user is the person in your org that created your GoGuardian account. Now let's get started. First, we have the User Management tab. To quickly identify who the super users are, you can come over here on the left-hand side, click the user filter, select super user, and click OK. Now these are all the folks that are super users in your organization. And remember that only these people can create and disable user accounts, manage user account permissions and OU access, and send password reset links to users. Now it's important to know that super users give other super users access. Next, we're going to look at adding users. Now there are 3 different ways that you can add a user. The first one is just to simply click Add User. We're going to type in a name here. And we're going to use Doug as our example. And now we can determine whether or not we want Doug to be a super user, which we will here. And then we're going to turn on his different permissions for each specific product. Now, for products like Admin and Beacon, there are multiple levels of permissions. And if you want to see the different levels, you can just click on this icon here, and it'll give you a different add role description on all the different available accesses they can have. So for here, we're going to just select full access. Now, the next section is the sub-org access. And this is only specific to our GoGuardian admin customers, and it allows you to select what access this specific user, like Doug, can access and which OUs. So for this case, I'm just going to give him access to all the different OUs. And click Add User. Now, the second way we can add a user is through the bulk Add or Edit button. From here, you can just download our GoGuardian CSV template, fill out all the information for all the different users, and you can do a bulk upload and just by dragging and dropping it here. Please note that try not to attempt to update email addresses using the CSV upload. This will actually result in duplicate account creation. So if you want to change an email address, you'll have to do it manually. Now, the third way to add users is through integration like Clever or ClassLink, which we'll touch on a little bit later. Now, next I want to look at how to edit a GoGuardian user. So I'm going to click the Edit button here. And here I can edit either the email address, I can change the different permission level like we did earlier, I can send the reset password link, and lastly, I can archive this user. What archiving will do is just move them from being an active user to somebody that's archived. If they're no longer with the org or don't need access to the tool anymore, you can archive them. Now, the next feature I want to look into is the Login As feature, which only works for our GoGuardian Teacher product. Now, to do this, I'm going to select a user. And I'm going to log in as this user. And it's important to remember the reason why a super user might log in as a teacher would be to troubleshoot for teachers, to perform routine maintenance, and facilitate onboarding and offboarding processes. So here, I'm going to log in as Brandon. And now that I'm in Brandon's account, he, as the teacher, will actually see a notification that says an admin is helping you out, and they can see that on the top right here. They will also receive an email saying that a admin logged into his teacher account. And as an admin, I can look into different classrooms that Brandon, as the teacher, has set up. I can see the different students and basically act as if I'm him. Now, for more information on GoGuardian Teacher, please check out our GoGuardian Teacher webinar. Now, as the admin, if I want to go back to org management, I would just click switch back. Now, the next section I want to look at is integrations. Now, earlier I said there were 3 ways to add users. One of the ways is through integration. So here you'll see that we can integrate with Clever, ClassLink, or Active Directory. Depending on your school and what their setup is will determine which one that you might use and what types of data we can sync. For instance, an integration with Clever can bring over the teacher information, student information, classroom, parent, guardian information, or even OUs. For more information on how to get started, you can just click the Click Here link for steps on how to do this, or reach out to your Customer Success Manager for help. Now I'm going to hop over to the Guardians tab. The Guardians tab only matters if you are using GoGuardian Parent, which is our mobile app that is tied to our admin product, or if you're using Beacon. Now, here, if I wanted to add a Guardian, there are multiple ways to do it, and one of the ways is to add a Guardian just like you would a new user. So here I can type in Hallie Peters is my Guardian. I'm going to use her email here, and then I'm just going to create her as a Guardian. And if I want to do a quick search, there she is. So Hallie is our parent. And now I can just hit this plus right here, and I can add a relationship. So this would be Hallie's student. So Hallie's student is Tyler Peters. And Hallie's relationship to the student is mother. So I'm going to click save. So now we have it. Hallie's the parent, Tyler is the student, and she is the mother, and that's the relationship. And now we're all set up with Guardian information. The other way you can do this is by clicking the bulk add or edit button, just like you would in user management. You would fill out this template, the CSV template that we have, and drag and drop it just like you would in user management. Now next we're going to jump into our product section. On this first section, you can see all the different licensing and products that are enabled and what day they expire. And then next, let's look at the General tab. So the General tab has this option for Chromebooks only. If this toggle is enabled, this will limit GoGuardian activity to only Chromebooks or Chromebook devices. In the upcoming weeks, you may see some changes on this page since our admin team will be migrating a few settings here. So be on the lookout for that. The next tab we want to get to is the Beacon tab. Now, if your org has purchased Beacon, this is where you would go to create different deployments. This can be done at the campus level as well, but if you have any more questions, feel free to click this Learn More button, or again, reach out to your CSM. Next up, we're going to look at the Teacher tab. Now first, under Teacher, we have Teacher Settings. So under the first setting, we can see this Allow Classroom Session. So if we were to turn this off, like we have it right now, this will prevent any sessions from being run. So this is really great for holidays or vacations when schools are shut down and we don't want any sessions to be running at all. But for now, I'm going to turn this one back on. Now, the next section we'll see is the conference call settings. This is relatively new to GoGuardian under our GoGuardian video conferencing feature. But essentially, you can turn on or off one-on-one calls here on the left-hand side, and you can select different settings, whether or not students can use their webcam, whether or not teachers can use their webcam, or if they can record the call with a student. And they must have student consent in order to do so. And then over here on the right-hand side, it's the exact same thing, however, just for group calls instead of one-on-one calls. If we scroll down here, we can see the next section, which is the lecture or presentation settings. So this is our present to class feature, which you can turn on or off here. This allows teachers to be able to share their screens with students and even turn on their mic or camera, which you would enable or disable here. Over to the next section is the enable scheduling by day. This will determine what time and days teachers can run sessions for students. So if you don't want teachers to run sessions over the weekends, we can just turn these off here, and then we can set what hours of the day that teachers are allowed to run sessions. So for now, I'm going to just turn these back on. The next section here is the user exceptions section. So any person here will not be able to have a session run on them. So for instance, if a parent doesn't want their child in a session, you can add them here and they won't be able to show up in a teacher session, they'll just show up as inactive. And the last section we have is the IP restrictions. If an IP range is set here, any student outside of the IP range will show up as offline and GoGuardian teacher. This is ideal for on-campus use, but not with a distance learning model. Now, if we scroll back up, we're going to jump into the quick lists. So the quick list is a teacher quick list that can be created and shared with all teachers in your organization to allow or block URLs when running scenes. So if a teacher gives you, the administrator, a number of URLs that they want to block or allow, you can create a quick list for them, and this will be shared with all the other teachers in your organization, and they'll be able to see it when they run scenes. Now onto our parent section. As an administrator, you have the ability here to turn on GGP or GoGuardian Parent for your district through this toggle. With this toggle on, parents can now download the mobile app in either the Apple Store or the Google Play Store and have visibility into their student accounts. And down here, we can see the next section would be to be able to see top 5 summaries, teacher intervention counts, or all activity view. And you can turn each one of these on or off. The next section is to be able to manage parental controls, which customize parental settings guardians will be able to utilize during out of school hours only. So here we can turn on website filtering, which allows guardians to block students from accessing specific websites during out of school hours, or even on-demand internet pausing. For more questions or answers about GoGuardian Parent, feel free to check out our GoGuardian Admin webinar. Next, let's jump into Gateway. Gateway is something that is relatively new. You may have heard that GoGuardian Admin is now compatible on all managed devices through something we call Gateway. For devices such as Windows and MacBooks or iPads, your PAC and LDAP settings will be configured here. We're also launching an update called User Injection, which allows students to use the devices without having to authenticate their login credentials over and over. This is especially helpful for our younger students who have difficulty keying their username and password over and over. Now we're going to jump into the account section. Now, under the account tab, you will see this toggle that says Teacher Daily Summary. Now, if we were to toggle this on, you as the admin will be able to see an email each day with information such as average session time or total connected students and even top teacher users for the day. Now, it's important to remember that this is only specific to you as the admin. So if you turn this on, you will be the only one that receives these emails. Now, our last section we're going to look at is the Windows tab. For all things Windows related, you can go to this tab, and this includes things such as the current setup, the installation guides, if you need to download packages, or if you have anything that's troubleshooting, guides can be found here, and our FAQs. I appreciate you joining us for this GoGuardian Org Management webinar. If you have any questions, we have customer success managers ready to answer questions for you. Otherwise, if you want, you can reach out directly to your customer success manager. Please have a wonderful day.